So, anything interesting happened lately? Anything you want the whole world to know about?
Anything interesting that I want the whole world to know about? To be honest, I'm trying to think of something that's actually interesting that will get me fired. Because most of the interesting things that happen to me happen on my job. And it's like, tourism in New York City is a very interesting thing.
Is it like annoying people or like famous people? They're two ends of the spectrum.
It's annoying people or creepy people. That's the main thing. Yeah. Like specifically, I'm not going to get into specifics or where I work, but I was interacting with a guest that was taking a picture of a statue's feet while in a conversation with me. It was very, very strange.
Man's talking to you. You're both talking to each other, but his mind and eyes and phone are laser focused on a statue's feet.
Mm-hmm. And he zoomed in for it too. It was very strange. It was very, very weird, and I hated it. It's like he was making direct eye contact with me, and then like something came over him, and he looked away and took the picture, and then came right back as if I didn't see what I had just seen.
Does he have no shame? Did he think you wouldn't notice?
He was there with his wife too. It's very, very weird.
Oh no.
We have to keep an eye on him.
Yeah, I imagine. Oh my goodness.
Besides that one moment, he was lovely though. That's the crazy thing.
Could be any one of us.
He was a really nice guy, despite the fact that he made his very obvious fetish known. I do not care about your deviancy. Just don't let it be known to me.
Yeah, this is a lesson to everyone. You don't know who you know. Don't trust no one. Be alone.
Exactly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nostalgia Hour. Today we have a very special guest. He is one of my oldest friends, very funny, very cool, and is a performer. He has his own, what do you call it, a business or like... It's a production company.
Yeah, it's a production company. I like to call it a community.
Oh my goodness, so beautiful. Called Katema Productions. So if you end up liking what you hear or are interested more in his vocal and performing prowess, follow him and look for him and watch all of his stuff. And Myles, I don't think I said your name. His name's Myles.
Hi.
And what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the 2011 Nickelodeon show Supah Ninjas.
I don't know how many of you guys have heard of this show. Everyone that I talked to had no clue what I was talking about. It's one of those, like, if you were not watching it, you had no clue it existed.
Which is so insane to me. That show is so fantastic.
It's so iconic to me.
I get hated on for liking this show, which is crazy.
People hate on you? Is it just RJ?
It's literally just RJ. But that show kind of shaped a lot of my childhood. It was part of this very weird period in Nickelodeon shows. I'm not sure if it was during or right after the writer's strike that happened sort of around that time. But
yeah, it was probably Miller during it's the writer's strike can best be found by when Cartoon Network started doing live action.
Exactly. I always thought that it was around that time. It was around the time of the Troop.
Destroy, Build, Destroy.
Exactly. I think all those shows sort of were around this time period. But this show was the one that I really hyperfixated on. I love this show so much.
So as a brief, or do you want to give a brief overview of the show before we get into anything?
Oh, I could try to give a brief overview. Let's see. What is the best way I could describe this show? So a young Asian man, an older idiotic black man, and a cheerleader get together in a basement, like 3 times a week. And they go out into the city and in ninja suits, and they beat the hell out of anyone they could find. Well, really, they get beat up quite a lot because they're not martial artists.
They're not. You have Ryan Potter, Mike Fukunaga is his name in the show. And I think in the first episode, they establish him as this really good martial artist.
Yeah.
That kind of, anytime he's outside the dojo, you kind of don't see.
Yeah. Honestly, very, very real. I think I'm going to talk about this now because the thing about the 3 of them is that Mike Fukunaga is like a great martial artist. He knows what he's doing, obviously. And it's like you could see him. He very obviously knew how to use the nunchucks before signing on to this show.
Yes.
It
gives like, they had a archetype in mind and we're hoping they were an actor. Or maybe he was always both, but still.
Exactly. He is very, very talented. So when he uses the nunchucks, you look at him, you're like, he knows what he's doing. And then you got the other two Jokers, which in so many episodes of the show, you notice how the other two are basically useless without Mike Fukunaga. Oh boy. But yeah, they're just three friends, one of which has basically trained his whole life, and the other two trained for like a couple weeks, and they go out and they fight crime.
I would say Amanda is definitely more competent than Owen.
Yeah, because at least
Owen
she
is
can
just
do
a
flips.
man with a big staff that either hits people with the staff or gets thrown on the floor.
I'm pretty sure, if my counting is correct, Owen did do one flip in the entire show.
He did a flip? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
he did do
awesome.
one flip. However, I don't remember why, and I don't think it actually went well for him.
Yeah, that sounds about right. One thing, so I want to spend a while talking about the pilot episode because to me it stands out so much.
That's where most of my notes are for as well.
I was writing like crazy for the first episode. Everything else like interspersed. The first episode, there's so many things to say.
Yeah.
But Amanda's character is basically written as perfect.
Yeah.
Like Mike's just like, she's the prettiest girl in the whole school. She's head of like the cheer squad, the softball team, the whatever. She has straight A's in every class. She's gonna be valedictorian. I'm like, as a writer, it makes me upset that you're creating a character with no apparent flaws.
Which is, I know we're talking about the pilot episode, but that's like that. I actually love Amanda's character, and I love that.
I love Amanda's character too,
because it makes it the friendship between the three of them, despite the fact that she has been written as perfect, is so interesting to me. Because like in most of tropes like this girl would not even want to be seen with them in public.
Yes. Her best friend is like the most catty, stereotypical,
the biggest hater I've
cheerleader
ever seen, and I love her so much. I love that character. Oh my god! But Amanda, like, they really did subvert the genre, and they did make sure, like, she became friends with these two, despite the fact that those two sucked. Do you know how many times I've written in my notes, man, this black dude sucks. Like, he's the worst. He grows on me by the end of the season, but like in this pilot episode, I thought he was the worst. Especially
He's
like
so annoying in the first episode. What I noticed, because the first episode is very Nickelodeon sitcom, just like the most cheesy, verging on bad episode. And a lot of it, well, no, there are two reasons. One is Owen, the other one is the villain.
Oh my god, the rapper in the zoot suit with the weird hat.
I think he was called the Rhymer, and he had a
Rhymer, that's
cane
right.
with a microphone on it, and he would only talk in Nickelodeon 2011 rap. It's like, I'm here in the club, and I'm carrying a club, and I'll hit you in the head till you're nothing but dead.
That's not bad though. that's not bad. That's kind of hitting. I love this villain. Kind of sets a really good tone for the rest of the season. Only because a lot of these villains are really quirky and really really cool.
Yes.
But this one specifically, I thought like the first scene I think it did a phenomenal job setting the tone, because most of these episodes start off with them revealing who the villain is. So they get pretty formulaic. But like this one, he walks into this bank, which, like, to the normal person looks like a normal bank, except this comically large safe with all the money is just in the center of the room.
Also, when we see them robbing the bank, they're like 11 stacks of $100 bills.
There's not a lot of money in there.
It shows how little confidence they have.
money.
Because again, it's not even they're getting stacks of $100 bills. They're getting stack of what didn't even look like stacks of paper, just like blocks with a $100 bill on top.
Exactly.
They could not afford 12 $100 bills, which neither can I. But they're a TV show. Their rules should be different.
Yeah, they're Nickelodeon.
You
they
get
had
that
so much money.
It's also just for filming. You can give the money back. It's not like,
or you could just print fake money. You can print as much. There was literally an episode later in the season that happened in a mint. There was more money in that episode than there was in this bank safe. Like, I understand it's the mint, but like this is still supposed to be a bank.
yeah.
And this episode sets the precedent for the fact that no one in this universe has any sort of weaponry, like actual weaponry. Half of these villains would not exist if guns existed in Empire City. The cops don't have guns. The villains don't have guns. They're just all really good at fighting. Really good.
Yeah. And also everyone is fighting kung fu style or whatever martial art it is.
Exactly.
Where like the cops are also like doing, if they're competent, like Mike's dad doesn't do anything. He doesn't, but like they'll show like a guard or something that they're fighting with, and then they're also doing martial arts as if that is the only way to fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird. Why does this random thug from Harlem know? Why does he know martial arts? I guess that's like, I guess it's kind of like Britain in that way because they don't have as many guns there as we have here in the U.S.
It's a Canadian show.
It is it.
Yeah.
So maybe
it's
they
Canadian
just,
Nickelodeon.
Maybe that's just how things are. Maybe that's just how things are in Canada. They just don't have guns. They all just fight, which that's fine. But I feel like it really did turn into Gotham. These cops are so incompetent. Mike Fukunaga's father, Mark Fukunaga. Martin. My bad. I wrote down Mark so many times. He sucks. He's a bad cop. Yeah. And low-key a bad father at points, but like he is a bad cop.
My favorite thing is like anytime in an episode where he has like very sensitive information.
He just gives it away.
Gives it to anyone who asks.
A lot of the time, they don't even ask. He gave it away. Literally, second episode, he like gives it away at dinner.
Yeah, it's just like, Mike, we can trust this random woman. I went on 2 dates with her. Actually, I think it was a first date.
That was their first date. That was basically their second meeting, and he's giving away classified government details that are about her too. This is the crazy thing. Oh my God, it's so funny. So very funny. Oh,
before I forget, the thing that I was originally going to say about Owen, and it's the worst in this episode because the writing is so cheesy, they give him the cheesiest lines because he's the comic relief. And it's like, is this where you keep your special magazines? Like, he has lines like that.
It's bad.
But I noticed he also made me laugh so much in the pilot, and I realized any time that he's annoying, it's because of the writing. Anytime that he doesn't have a line or like maybe he's ad-lib or whatever, he is so charismatic and funny.
Yeah, he is. There are a lot of the times where he made me laugh. I think the problem is that where they wrote him to be funny is at the most inappropriate times. Like I watched every single episode in this season. I managed to find every single episode.
Oh, nice.
And I watched every single one. And when it gets to the middle of the season, when they start to get going, which I guess we could talk about a little bit later, but when they really start to get going plot-wise, and like, it's life or death, and he's still cracking jokes. I almost threw my laptop. Like it got to the point where it was really, really bad, where they were writing all of these insane, and there are so many one-liners and quips in this show, and half of them are clever. But yeah, it just gets really, really bad for him. You know, when he first appears in the show, his first scene, it's when they're doing the thing where they're throwing a bunch of the stuff at Mike Fukunaga to see if he can like dodge or catch like a spork, a mocha shakachino, and a grape. Yeah. And he catches the grape in his mouth. A pretty sick scene. However, Owen is seen here with a bunch of what I can only describe as children. And I wrote down in my notes, who are these children?
Never see them again.
We never see them again. They're in high school. This whole show, like
they're all freshmen, and the actors are. I mean, I'm saying it as if it's new, but they're all over 18, and they look over 18.
Yeah, like, but that's fine. Yeah. These four were actual children, and I cannot believe like they couldn't have been older than 12 years old. So I'm like, why is he hanging out with these children? And God, I guess it's fine that we don't see them ever again, because then. I guess the pilot, they don't know if they're going to get more episodes, which is why I think the second episode of the show came out 4 months after the first episode.
It reads.
Yeah, but I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
Because they got popping.
It was like I've watched other shows, rewatch of similar caliber of quality. This is one of the ones I've had the most fun rewatching. I don't know why. I think part of it is just that the show stuck with me and there's no one else talking about it. Another thing that I wanted to say, because, again, I think we're two of the only people in our friend group that have watched the show at all. The fact that George Takei is in it.
How did they afford George? How did they afford George? That's crazy to me.
Who plays Mike's dead grandfather.
Mike's dead grandfather, who he interacts with as if he's still alive, because this AI hologram, which that's when the fear of AI really started. Because how is he interacting with his grandfather like this?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And like he's absorbing new information. The things that he must have like coded into himself. Like apparently he like watches show tunes still as a hologram.
Mm-hmm.
No, he watches it was like a spoof of American Idol.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I have to watch my favorite singing show and find America's best singer. And it's like
But he also does break into show tunes at some point during the
yes.
season 2, which was
because apparently he was in Guys and Dolls.
apparently it's great. Like, and he said he was Sky Masterson too.
Yeah,
Obviously
yeah.
he was pretty good at one point. I wonder at what point he's a hologram now.
Yes.
So he doesn't age as a hologram.
Right.
So I wonder
if they kept the show going for like 10 years.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, could the hologram keep practicing? Could he, like, essentially just get better at... This might be a moot point, but I was thinking about it while he was singing. I was like, he's not very good at singing, but let's say you gave this hologram singing lessons.
Oh, that's interesting.
Would he get better? Because I have no idea what the rules of this hologram are.
I feel like technique he would get better.
Hopefully.
Like I don't think his tone or anything like that would change.
Yeah, because he's got potential.
Because I don't think there's no muscles to grow.
Yeah.
Like his range would probably also stay the same. But like the technique, understanding like the different genre, like he would probably become much technically better.
Yeah.
My headcanon.
But I will say, definitely one of the highlights of the entire show.
Oh yeah. They call them holograms.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Even Mike, Mike calls him Grandpa, but Mike has called him holograms a couple of times, which is insane.
What's funny is like there are like a few scenes where it's just Amanda and holograms, and because he doesn't actually have a name, she has nothing to call him but holograms, which is not something I feel like she would say.
Yeah, all of those scenes where it's just either holograms and Amanda, or holograms and Owen. Though I really like those scenes because you could tell that these characters don't spend a lot of time alone. Because why would they? Because this is, by the way, where they're hanging out. This is underneath Mike's
bed.
This is underneath Mike's bed. So they have to go into his house. Like Owen lets himself into Mike's house all the time for some reason, to the point where
even though Martin hates.
Yeah, Officer Martin Fukunaga.
Very racist.
Very, very racist. I have that written in my notes. I have written down that he doesn't like his son and he doesn't like black people. Oh my God. All right.
I think he also tries to speak basic Japanese with the ninjas. Like, even though, like, of the Supah Ninjas, you can still see the eyes. One is pretty easy to guess Asian, one is very obviously white, and one is very obviously black.
Yeah. Which is why every single time, I think later on in the season, there was an episode where, I think it was the Skeleton Crew episode, where they were fighting off of these guys that are masked. They have skeleton masks on, and they're like robbing the school or whatever. And this detective comes to town. Episode, I wrote down that it's pretty inconsequential. But this lady who was an undercover cop in the school that Owen was hitting on the entire episode, she comes in and she goes to Martin Fukunaga, Officer Martin Fukunaga. And she goes, your son and his friends are ninjas. Like the ninjas we saw. Basically, she said one of them was Asian, one of them was black, one of them was white. Your friends have the same build, or your son and his friends have the same build.
Yeah, Owen's very tall. It definitely helps like put the pieces together.
One of the ninjas was obviously female. You could just kind of tell. I think we're putting two and two together, and how they escaped in that episode was really dumb too. Because then they put their ninja outfits onto the Skeleton Crew. So the Skeleton Crew got caught. But it was proven that, Mike and his friends weren't the ninjas. But now the ninjas are criminals because they've obviously been doing all of it. Never referenced again.
Yeah, no, part of what I think, normally in a show, usually the showrunner, the person that does the first and last episode and like usually the highlights of the episode, they're usually the best writer on the team. Because they either have like a great deal of quality to them, or just maybe they know the show so intimately because they created it, something like that. I don't think that's the case here, and it's part of the reason why I don't like the pilot so much, but I feel like part of it shows that there's just no regard for overarching, well, not any overarching plot, but like minor overarching plot, I feel like gets ignored.
Yeah.
In the first episode, Holograms is like, you're not ready to go out yet. I forbid you to do this. Do not do this. And then they literally pull the plug on Grandpa.
Insane. Which there's so many like really insensitive references to his grandfather being dead throughout the whole show, but specifically in this pilot, which is insane. I don't think they ever really grasp the fact that this is a sentient hologram that's speaking to them. But literally in that same scene, when Holograms is like, "You're not ready. I forbid you to go out there." Owen's like, "Yeah, what if we end up like him?" And he points to Holograms. I'm like, "That's crazy. What an insane thing to say."
That's so funny. I'm so, oh, my humor. Anyway.
Also, yeah, Mike Fukunaga beat all three of the goons, of the big goons in that final fight, basically by himself. Because at that point, it was just him and Owen. Amanda had not joined the trio yet.
I think she did like one or two punches because she was the one who was kidnapped. That's why they went out.
Oh, yeah. For like the first, this is not the first no, this is the first. This is not the last time she will be kidnapped in this show. This is not the last time any of them will be kidnapped. Oh my God, so many people get kidnapped.
I also do love at the end of that episode, just like, I know you guys are the Supah Ninjas. You literally call each other by your name
so many times. And the crazy thing is Owen
shows no like regard for the idea that they're supposed to be keeping their identity of ninjas as a secret. The amount of times in public places he says with no change in decibel, yeah, if we could just get credit for our ninja stuff. Oh yeah, we went as ninjas last night, and this like.
And the crazy thing is, like, Mike is normally the one who's like, Owen, we cannot let people know who we are. And then over the course of the season, actually, it stays pretty parallel until the last episode. Literally until the last episode. Because Mike was the one who was like, hey, let's give my father Holograms his personal number, which why does he have a phone number? Let's give him his personal number.
I think that's why we found out that he did. I think it was like, I could vote for America's top singer.
Oh my God.
One other thing about George Takei, I don't know why this has stuck with me the whole time, but in my head I can constantly hear George Takei go, "Oh my," and it just is one of those random thoughts that pops up, and it's always explicitly a Supah Ninjas reference. That is my closest connection with George Takei. You watched more episodes than I. I did not hear him say "oh my" once.
He didn't. I was also paying attention. He did not say it once in all 26 episodes. He didn't say it once. However, I think the "oh my" that's a Star Trek reference, right? He does reference Star Trek in the show. However, he calls Mike a nerd for knowing Klingon.
Yes, that's what it was. Oh yeah, that's.
I was like, that is such a hilarious reference that none of the children who watch this show would understand.
Yeah. But I was surprised that my biggest connection just passively to Supah Ninjas is a quote that's not even from him in that show.
Yeah. I mean, because it's George Takei. Like,
yeah.
God, he's fantastic. One thing I will say about this episode and the entire like series just as a whole, because they don't use guns and they use a whole bunch of very wacky weapons, the villains find some very creative ways of trying to kill people. And they never say kill, they never say death. They do anything but say those words. They'll say eliminate, they'll say off, they'll say just everything under the book except for kill and death, which it makes sense. It's a children's show. But yeah, I have written down here, they have some real creative ways of attempting to kill people in this show. Shooting them? Nope. Tying them to a marquee and electrocuting them over a small period of time? Nah, that's the way to do it. Idiots. It's so dumb. And none of them work. None of them work.
No. We also find out that, like, apparently in that episode when she gets kidnapped, I'm just like, why are they kidnapping a teenager for no reason? And it's because she is the daughter of the owners of casinos.
Which is insane because that is never mentioned ever again.
Yeah.
It is never mentioned again.
Which also means on top of being perfect, she's also rich.
She's rich. Never shows it. It's crazy. I really do love Amanda's character, but I feel like they definitely did drop the she's an heiress plot
Yeah.
line
Yeah.
to make her a little bit more relatable.
Yes.
But yeah, it makes sense why she was hanging with the popular crowd for, at the very least, most of the season.
Yeah.
Until the snakeskin episode, which, fun fact, I had never seen in my life.
I remember that episode so vividly, except for the fact that it was a Supah Ninjas episode. I remember the entire plot and the villain and why and whatever. I'm like, this is the show that stuck with me.
I started watching that episode and I was like, I've never seen this before. And there were actually a couple episodes like that where I guess in my mind I skipped them, but like snakeskin was one of them. And I think
Are they about to do the pyramid party? How do I remember the word pyramid, not period party?
Oh, ew.
If you've ever seen The Machine, Bert Kreischer,
I have.
His daughter made him throw a period party. Red velvet cake, pasta with chunky tomato sauce.
Hey, listen, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
Hey, what were we talking? Oh, right. You were talking about the snake episode and other episodes that you just, for whatever reason, have no recollection of, haven't seen, whatever.
Yeah. Snakeskin was definitely one of them. The clip show episode, I didn't know.
They have a clip show episode?
Yeah, it's right before the finale. Inconsequential. It's a clip show. It does
Right.
not move forward. It's literally just about the fact that apparently they just leave a bunch of random weaponry and equipment just at all the places that they end up during the night, which is bad.
Yes.
And then Holograms is like, by the way, I have footage of y'all exposing yourselves as ninjas. Like, you know, mask down and everything.
Yeah, they take the mask down so much, and I get it.
They do it so often.
It's for the audience. They can relate better to actually seeing someone's face.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why, like, superheroes will take off their... But, again, no concept of a secret identity.
Yeah. I will say also, the show just in general had a lot of fantastic guest stars. Daniela Monet was in an episode. She was Nickelodeon at the time, so that wasn't too surprising.
They also had Fred.
They also had Fred, Lucas Cruikshank.
Which, I was looking through, like, the IMDb of all the characters, which... I didn't know Ryan Potter. He's also Beast Boy. And,
Yeah, that's my Beast Boy.
He's Hiro from Big Hero 6.
He's accomplished. He's so good.
Owen has nothing. His biggest credit besides Supah Ninjas is being on the Fred show.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And so was Ryan Potter was also in it, but he did better things afterwards.
Yeah, because this was also around the time of Marvin, I believe. It was around that same time period.
I mean, if they were doing Fred the show, then it was probably right after.
It was Fred the show was probably before.
Right, yes, probably.
Yeah, because Marvin came out in 2013, I think. Who knows? But in any case, Fred, Daniela Monet, then also The Big Show was on like the third episode as 2-Ton Harley.
Oh, yeah.
Which I do love that episode.
Except for the fact that they use inflatable they make their suits inflatable to be like sumo wrestlers. They would be the lightest things ever. They would just become... That fight just did not make sense.
Yeah. How did they knock him out?
By being fat. They were just like, oh, I'm big now. Now we're at equal footing.
And listen,
That's not how it works.
There's a lot of fat jokes in that episode. There's a lot of... I have my own feeling about fat suits in media. I liked the premise.
It looked offensive and did nothing good for anything. I hated it so much.
I do love The Big Show, though. I like the character 2-Ton Harley. That character was probably actually one of the smartest characters in the show. Second only to probably Checkmate, I'd imagine.
I want to watch... I was able to see the hospital one where you see a bunch of the old villains. And then because of that, I saw Checkmate, and I remembered like the episode they showed very briefly. I want to see his episode again because he is very smart. His character is very charismatic, and I'm like, why can't I watch? Because I only, for those of you who are listening, I was able to find like half the episodes.
And I luckily was able to watch all of them, which is nice. Checkmate. Like the thing I was going to talk about was the fact that not only are there a lot of like fantastic guest stars, but there's also a lot of fantastic villains just in the show. Checkmate was probably my favorite, and I think he's the writer's favorite too because he gets this big send off where he's like, "Oh, game on, ninjas!" Which coolest thing in the world. Not a lot of the villains actually come back.
Yeah.
So the fact that they brought him back was really good. Jellyface I thought was a really interesting villain. Yes. He also comes back, or they to be honest, I'm not sure if we ever figure out.
I think they said his name before he got arrested, or like what he got arrested as,
You're so right. They did.
which
They
was
did.
male.
I don't. Yeah, you're actually so right. They showed his name and his picture. Yeah, he was male, but he was.
Well, whenever he got
impersonating-
defeated in the episodes, and his face just turned into an amorphous blob.
Yeah. The CGI in the show is god awful, which I loved so much. Oh my god. So Jellyface was another one. Dollhouse was another really great villain.
I don't know if I saw Dollhouse.
Dollhouse, it was this estranged toy maker who was abused by his parents,
Oh my goodness.
who started stealing people and brainwashing them to be dolls.
Oh, I remember that
and,
now.
and stay in this big oversized dollhouse. So they kidnapped Amanda for like the fourth time. And her hater friend to be, oh god, that episode was so heartbreaking. I had a lot of notes about that episode too, because
Did it feed the ship?
it fed the ship, but in a really heartbreaking way, because brainwashed Amanda was super into Mike. And she
Right.
even called Mike her ninja boyfriend. And they were holding hands. And he was like, this is wrong. I was like, damn, the only way you could find love is if she's literally brainwashed to be in love with you? That sucks. That's the worst.
I mean, they do the classic thing of like, oh yeah, the main character who has a crush on a girl is dating someone else now, and only then does the original crush show any feelings for the guy.
Yeah, it's really, really
They do
bad.
kiss in episode 2 though.
They do. They kiss in episode 2. They kiss immediately.
Where it's like, oh, someone's coming. They're gonna see her looking through her purse. Amanda goes for the makeout. He doesn't know what's going on.
His eyes are wide open.
And then I will say, I think there could have been an opportunity for them to actually start dating, and Mike fumbled the bag because it was just like, so
oh, yeah,
about
it's just business.
yeah, it was just been,
You idiot.
He was like, I didn't feel anything at all, or like whatever he said, and she was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I of course, yeah.
Then he lost her to a very hot man.
Very hot man who they purposely made look ugly when Jellyface came back.
Fantastic. Great. Honestly, I was so into that. But yeah, Dollhouse, great. Owen was especially really weird in that episode too, but weird in a really funny way. I think they wrote him really well. So they saw the two brainwashed cheerleaders, Amanda and girl whose name I'm forgetting.
Oh, that he was in love with.
Yeah. So they're like, we got to go get them. And Owen's like, wait. They're going to pillow fight in a second. And then they did. And then they're both looking up. They're like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Then they go up there and then they try to get them self-defense mechanism to get beat up for a bit. But then they like, let's have a dance party. And Owen's immediately like, he's getting jiggy with it. Like, he's fine with it. But Mark, no. Mike, he's like, no, we got to get them out of here. And Owen's like, maybe we could dance them out of here. And Mike's like, yeah, maybe we can. And he starts dancing, but he's not moving. So they're just now getting down. Then they start slow dancing out of nowhere. I was like, oh, this is a stark. Oh my God, this episode. I love it so much. And that character was very, the Dollhouse specifically, that was his name. He was very sympathetic. He was like, I've never had anyone to play with. So, and the thing I love about toys is that you can make them do whatever you want. So I took these people and made them into toys, which awful implication.
Yeah.
Terrible, terrible implication. But his heart was in the right place.
I also like the lizard episode
Oh my God.
where the teacher was trying to basically the same plot as the lizard from Spider-Man.
Except he was trying to turn himself into insects.
Oh, it was insects. Okay, yeah.
And not anyone in particular,
Yeah.
just insect in general. So he kept injecting himself with insect DNA, saying he was trying to cure all diseases. So yes, that is the exact plot as the lizard from Spider-Man. The exact same thing.
And then he finally figures it out after years, and Amanda stops him because I guess it's fair that she wouldn't know what's going on. And then at the end of the episode, he beats the ninjas.
He beats the hell out of them, actually.
And then sees oh, Amanda, I gave Amanda the same thing. I'm going to use my only chance at becoming normal again, which is all I want. I don't even think he was had any malicious intent in the slightest.
He didn't.
Anything was just self-defense. And then he uses that on Amanda. And it's just you're always my favorite student.
Yeah. And then he jumps off of a building. You were always my favorite student, and then he jumps off of a building. Like all villains, like all regular people. I did also love that episode. I hated the fact that he kept calling her his favorite student. Thought that was nasty.
It was weird, yeah.
I thought he was pretty cool. I thought the concept was pretty cool. It's the same as the Spider-Man thing, the lizard guy. He wants to turn everyone into lizards so that there's no more disease. Let him. Let him. I'm cool with being a lizard. I'm cool with being an insect. I mean, I guess I don't like all the goo stuff that they used a lot of goo.
I think it's more so that it should have been like a treatment. It's just like, oh yeah, you could get lizard therapy. Like if you're an amputee, like you'll grow it back.
It's not enough. It's not enough. We have to be insects. We have to turn into cockroaches.
We have to be the Rick and Morty. What was the world called? Where they're all just like monsters of like 14 different animals. I forgot what they called it. Have you seen Rick and Morty? Yeah,
I have. I don't remember. I haven't seen that show.
It's the reason why they left their first original planet.
Oh, Cronenberg's.
Cronenberg's, yeah. It's like the planet of Cronenberg's, just planet of lizards.
Weird. But he was really good. Limelight, that was near the end of the season. He was really good. Also, another very creative way of killing a person, shining a really bright spotlight with them. Also, the way he kept escaping all these situations, these like light bombs that he was putting down, there's no way no one in those rooms were not like permanently blinded.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a bright ass light. To the point where it was affecting people that were watching the screens, where it was blinding them for a few seconds. You mean to tell me the people in that room aren't dead? There's no way.
Yeah.
I was also trying to count like how many times they might have accidentally killed a person in the show. In the Subsiders episode.
Okay.
Which I love that episode a lot because it makes no sense once again.
I don't think I saw that one either.
Oh, there was an underground society. They hang out in the sewers of Empire City. And it's a bunch of kids who dropped out of school who hate the man. So they disappear and they go live in the sewers. And they have a lot of snacks down there, actually. They had a chocolate fountain. They had a chocolate fountain in the sewers. Yeah, that's why Owen joined them for a bit. He robbed a bank. It was pretty inconsequential. He went back to being a ninja. He was trying to save his good friend. I'm not doing a good job of explaining it, but I'm kind of all over the place.
That's fine.
That's where, oh my God, that group, it was just a bunch of guys who just hated living topside. So they thought they were kind of racist against people living on the ground. They're like, oh, you damn topsiders. It's very, very strange. I forgot why I went into this point, actually.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Weird. In any case, that was a bad villain.
One character that we haven't talked about yet, Yamato.
Oh, Yamato. How could we forget? Robot guy.
He's just a robot that trains him, is very sassy.
A robot that lives in the basement dojo underneath Mike's bed that beats the hell out of them in every episode that he's in.
My favorite part is he's in the credits. And he's credited as
Yamato.
He has an actor.
Does he?
Yes.
Oh, I
looked it up because I was like, oh, is it just like, oh, they use an AI voice or whatever? Like, it's essentially Sparky as Sparky. No, there is, if he's not in the suit himself, which thing on it probably was the case, because getting an actual robot seems much more expensive. But if nothing else, at least the voice actor, whatever it was, there's an actor for Yamato, and they just didn't give him any credit because they wanted Yamato in the
I wonder,
credits.
there's got to be like an actual reason for that, I'd imagine. Maybe there wasn't like a release or something signed, or maybe it was something that had to do with the actor not wanting to be credited for some reason. I don't know why you would want to do that, but I feel like there's got to be an actual reason why they didn't credit his actual name in any of these episodes.
It could be that the voice actually isn't his, and then it's like an AI voice, and he is literally just the guy that moves the suit.
Maybe. So the AI voice would be Yamato, and then he would just be... That would make sense. Honestly, yeah. Honestly, that's pretty cool, though. And I did love Yamato as a character.
He was a good...
He was very grounding. He was actually funny.
Yeah.
And seeing Owen get punched in the balls like every other episode was very cathartic. When his eyes turned red when the Ishina first showed up, that two-parter, that was actually scary to me as a child.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was terrified. And then he started chasing them through the halls. He was running fast. He was running really...
They said that he was like always on the low setting.
Yeah. He was always on level 1. And then when he went up to level 2, then he went up to level 3, then he went up to level 5. And I was like, he's going to kill them, actually. I think all he did was like grab Owen's arm and just went like this, and Owen went flying across the room. I was like,
Which he
damn.
always does.
Yeah. But then when he left the dojo for the first time in the series during that 2-parter when they were fighting a million ninjas.
Yeah.
How did they win? I could explain to you how they... Yeah, by the way, the Fukunaga clan, oh my God. This whole plotline, when they started to get into it, I was so into it, both as a kid and now. I was popping off. The Fukunaga clan is a rival clan called the Ishina clan, and they want the floating sword. And the Fukunagas have the floating sword. So that's pretty self-explanatory. So they're trying to get the floating sword. There's a little bit for a while where they think that Officer Martin Fukunaga is actually the ninja. Idiots. Really, really dumb. I'm not sure. Really, really, really dumb. Also, oh my God, he plays the saxophone. Regardless. So they lure the ninjas out to this clear. They're like, hey, bring the sword. Bring the floating sword. And then we'll give you Connor, who is the annoying cousin who we haven't spoken about yet. I also have down in my notes that Connor sucks.
I hate Connor so much.
He's the worst. But they're like, hey, we kidnapped Connor. Bring us the floating sword and we won't kill him. So they show up to this clearing, and they get jumped by roughly around 100 people that were there. And they managed to win. They won. And when I'm watching the fight choreography, because I'm very passionate about fight choreography and shows and other media, I'm watching the fight choreography. I'm like, how are they winning? Are they all? Because I'm surely if 100 people attack you at once, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
But you will win if those 100 people are coming at you one at a time, and the rest of them are just sort of standing around with their swords, swaying back and forth like an idle screen in the video game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how they won, because the rest of them are incompetent. Rush in! You all have swords!
But you see that in a lot of like TV, not as much movie, but definitely TV fights where it's just, oh no, it's one person against 6 guys. How does he do it? It's because everyone else is waiting.
Yeah, that's basically the main plot once they get to, I think it's past the Eternum episode, which was probably one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, that was the hospital, right?
Yes, that was the first time.
That was really sick.
That was the first time in the series that the ninjas were called out specifically. This was the first one where the enemy wasn't an enemy of the people. He was an enemy of the ninjas. And they were called to this place to be pulled into a trap. And then from then, that's when stuff started really to take off.
And they were truly called by, what's his name, Checkmate?
They were really called by Checkmate. Checkmate told Turnham, he was the lead of this psych...
Arkham Asylum, basically.
Arkham Asylum, yes. He was the head psychiatrist in this place. Psychologist. God dang
Did you
it.
say psychologist?
Who knows? In any case, he was the head of this place, and Checkmate, previous villain, told him, he was like, hey, there are these ninjas. They're pretty cool. And Turnham was like, yeah, they are pretty cool. So he brainwashed his goons. Actually, he had sleeper agents out in the field.
Basically.
Who carved out the name ninjas in Japanese all over all of these surfaces. So sick. So insanely cool. So he can lure the ninjas there and try to brainwash one of them, which was unsuccessful because Mike Fukunaga is the coolest person in the world.
Green Lantern willpower, just...
Yeah, just literally just the willpower of 1,000 men. I love it when the main villain doesn't really fight.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have hands.
Well, I think that was another thing that stood out to me on the pilot with the Rhymer, where he's just watching his goons take out the ninjas, and I'm like, okay, he can't do anything. Or maybe it was Limelight that I'm mixing up with. Oh, yeah, I think it is Limelight. Either way.
Limelight had hands. He did a spinning roundhouse kick to it.
But he didn't do anything for most of the fight until he was the last one left, and I'm just like, you could have been helping.
That is very true. He waited until his goons got beaten, then he blinded Owen and did a spinning roundhouse kick. Coolest thing that happened in the entire episode.
Yeah.
But yeah. Checkmate. But yeah, that was when the story really got going, and everything from there actually had a lot of stakes in the general plot as a whole, except for one villain. I believe that was Frostbite. That didn't really.
Oh, that was just like freezing the people that were doing bad things. Like he was an anti-villain. I guess you'd call him an anti-hero.
Yeah. He was based.
Yeah.
He was disillusioned from the police. And he was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it myself. I'm going to freeze all of these people. Not to death, but to death. He's like spraying them with liquid nitrogen. Like that would kill a person. So he's freezing them and then keeping them in his cooler forever. What is he gonna do with them? Who knows? But yeah, and when
Him
the
and
ninjas,
Dollhouse actually, Dollhouse is his buyer.
ooh,
So that would actually be a really interesting take on
that
both
would be
characters.
a really interesting episode if they kept going past season 2. Which
Yeah.
do not remember much about season 2. I honestly, I knew that they had a season 2, but I thought like after the Ishina showed up, I thought that was the season finale, and the rest of that season was season 2. I didn't know that
That's exactly what I thought too. I had to check the number of episodes to confirm that there is actually a season 2.
So now that I know that, obviously going to go back and watch season 2 because I need to. I need to figure out what I actually remember. I thought everything that happened after the Ishina was just a completely new season because it had new season vibes. It literally was a completely different vibe of show. They had grown so much up to that point. They actually start scrapping after that point.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Owen figuring it out. It wasn't just Amanda being perfect, I guess. It was it was those three actually scrapping together and beating the hell out of people. And also between the first episode and I believe episode 6 or 7, maybe episode 8, you could tell that the villains that they are catching on screen are the only villains that they are catching. They are not actually doing any other catching of villains outside of the show.
That makes sense.
But then once you get past the Ishina, they keep talking about all of these villains that they're catching. Like in the Asylum episode, low key.
Right. Yeah. There's a whole support group of people we have not seen.
Dude, they're like Batman. He was like, this guy was like, I was just driving my car. They pulled me out of the car and beat me up, and now I'm here in mental jail. And then when the ninjas show up there, all those guys in that support group are like, "You stupid ninjas! I'm gonna come here," chasing them throughout the halls like Scooby Doo. Oh my god! Oh boy!
All right, we're at about 45 minutes in, and I want to make sure we have time for our segment for the episode.
Okay.
So I was having trouble of like what to do, especially because like I can't do any quiz things because there's no way of like really participating in it unless you've recently rewatched the show. So I thought it'd be fun. I came up with a couple of different groups and characters for you to determine whether or not the Supah Ninjas would beat them in a fight.
Okay.
So start off strong with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No
way.
No way. No way in hell. There's no way that the Supah Ninjas are beating them. I think if you put Mike Fukunaga against like Donatello, I think Mike Fukunaga would beat his ass. However,
it's 4 confident.
It's 4 against 3. First off, which they've beaten more. The Supah Ninjas have beaten more people due to plot.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are against plot.
Yeah. Number 2, the cast of Kickin' It.
Supah Ninjas would kick the hell out of them. I think they could pretty easily handle everyone on that show except for Jack, and maybe
Kim or Rudy, depending on, yeah.
They're not. They're beating the hell out of Rudy. They're just they're punching him in the back of the head. He will never get up again. But Jack will give him a run for their money. I feel
Jack is Mike, except he seems more well versed in different types of karate. Because we see Mike handle the bow staff. Looks like he has no idea what he's doing.
I think weirdly enough, Mike Fukunaga is actually probably more resourceful than Jack is. I think he would be able to.
Experience.
I think he would be just barely able to edge Jack out, but the rest of them are crumpling like a sack of rocks.
Like Amanda and Owen don't know what they're doing, but everyone else in the Bobby Wasabi Dojo really just don't know what they're doing.
That's why in that last season, Jack went to become a spy, and none of the rest of them did. Incompetent.
All right. SpongeBob.
Ooh. SpongeBob.
Both like the weakest and most OP character in all of cartoons.
I don't think anyone really can beat SpongeBob, can they? Because wasn't there that one episode where that guy was just punching him in the face a bunch, and SpongeBob's face was literally caving in, and he was laughing? I don't think they'd be able to beat him.
To me, the only way that they could do it is like in that episode where he becomes a cop, and they finally show him that he's the person that is causing all the pain, and he sort of just like self-implodes. I think that is the kind of stuff that they would have to pull in order to beat SpongeBob.
And I don't think they'd be able to.
No.
At least one of the Supah Ninjas is very stupid, so they would mess it up somehow.
Isabel from Animal Crossing.
Oh, they would stomp Isabel into the ground.
I'm just thinking about like her in Smash.
I mean, I guess she does have a
Technically,
black.
she has, but like
She has a black hole in her pocket, but the ninjas don't have I guess they do have projectiles. They
They have the
use
shurikens.
non-projectile weapons as projectiles constantly.
Yeah.
They're just constantly throwing things at their enemy. Like, oh, I can't beat them.
Mike's nunchucks are retractable for some reason.
Apparently, and he loses them in damn near every single time he fights with them. But yeah, I think they're beating the hell out of Isabel.
Mike and Sully.
I think they're
To me, Sully's given like 2-ton Charlie.
2-ton Harley.
Harley, yeah.
I think. Ooh.
It's like interesting because they're monsters, but they're also their job is just to scare people.
Yeah, I think Mike is scary, and I think Mike is very large, and I feel like Mike would probably be able to throw hands. Sully, that's what I meant. Yeah, Sully is large, and he would probably be able to throw hands, but if they can beat 2-ton Harley, they could probably beat Sully. Mike is an anomaly because he'd be like rolling around. It's very, very strange. I think they could probably beat them, though.
Tony the Tiger.
Ooh, he's great. He's really, really strong.
It made me think of Tony the Tiger because I saw someone where it's just like, here's all the cereal mascots on a scale of whether or not I would beat them in a fight, and like Tony the Tiger's on one end, and then like the Quaker Oats guy's on the other.
Tony the Tiger is very strong. I think they might be able to pull it through, seeing as though they're humans and Tony is a tiger. However, he's also a tiger.
I was gonna say I don't think they could beat an actual tiger in a fight.
Well, I feel like one person couldn't beat a tiger in a fight, but I think 3 people with weapons.
Maybe. Yeah.
Literally one bonk on the head. But he's also anthropomorphic.
But, yeah, he is bipedal and has huge muscles for a tiger.
Yeah, can I say draw?
I'll accept draw.
I'll say draw for this one because that one's difficult.
All right. The guy from Spy Kids 3.
Oh, the guy is. Wait, hold on. There was no the guy.
There is. Elijah Wood is the guy. He gets immediately killed.
That's right.
He's supposed to be really good at the game or whatever.
Is this happening in game or outside of game? Is this a whole like they go outside the game? He goes, "I'm not strong. I'm not cool. I'm not."
That's true. I'm gonna go with in game then.
In game, okay.
But there are all like Junie and Karn where they were just brought into the game. He is as he is.
Gotcha. Interesting. And there's no game master here to start messing with stuff. So I imagine it's just a straight up. He is strong in that universe. And if you like,
and 99 lives too.
Yeah, I think the guy is probably just gonna punch them a bunch and they're gonna give up. Because even if they do have like the standard 5 lives, as you said, he has 99 of them. Ooh, we never see his full strength though.
No,
we only know
it's honestly like how you're talking about the Chekhov's gun that doesn't go off.
Yeah,
that's basically the guy.
Yeah,
like we see him, but he is built up so much.
We only hear what he's done through hearsay. We never actually see him do any of the stuff. God, killing him immediately is the funniest thing that movie could have done. That's actually phenomenal. That's what I strive to do, to build something up and then take it away. But yeah, I think the guy would probably beat the hell out of them. I feel like
I agree. Sector V from Kids Next Door.
They are children.
They are children,
and they use a bunch of classroom tools as weapons.
They do. They have beaten teenagers before. Teenagers have also beaten them before.
Yeah, but I feel like once again, none of the people that they're fighting have actual, like. Oh wait, actually, you've sort of turned me around here. There are also 5 of them, and they did sort of save the world from a demon at one point.
I'm pretty confident if it was just kooky, number 2, number 3, and number 4, they would be fine. I think the Supah Ninjas would win that.
Putting number 1 and number 5 in there is, yeah, that makes things a little bit more complicated because those 2 are actually competent.
Yeah.
Ooh, Interesting. I still think the Super Ninjas will probably win. I feel like thin margin,
Yeah.
but I think they could pull it out.
Another from Kids Next Door, the Toilinator.
Oh, they're not beating the Toilinator. This isn't even a meme. I don't think they're beating the Toilinator. There was that one episode where he got like
when it was in the number Operation Zero episode when
he
becomes a zombie.
He was strong.
He had a leg up on every villain, even though all of them were clowning on the rest of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I think even one time outside of that, he still is like super powerful, but only for like 5 seconds.
Yeah. Which means he's got a lot of potential. Who's to say he would realize that potential with the Super Ninjas of all people? I choose to believe in the Toilinator.
I support that.
If it's like Toilinator at his strongest versus Super Ninjas at their strongest, I'll pick the Toilinator.
Mm-hmm. I feel like on any given day, I would give a different answer to that question.
That is very, very valid, yeah.
All right, a few more left. Kim Possible and Ron Stoppable.
I think the Super Ninjas win. Ron Stoppable is...
Ron Stoppable can be like
He is a weak link.
Unless he has like the super monkey powers, which like for most of the show he has no access to. In my personal opinion, I'm not counting that in the fight. Then it's just like 3 people against. It's Owen versus Ron. Owen wins very easily. And then Kim versus Mike and Amanda. Whether or not you think that Kim could beat Mike and Amanda.
I'm not sure Kim could beat Mike.
Which, yeah, that's a fair question.
By himself. Because Mike be coming in clutch. I mean, he did have a problem fighting himself in one episode. So it's like... But if his only real competition is himself...
I'm trying to think of like transitive property. Because like so many of the Kim Possible villains, I think the Super Ninja could handle. The only one that I'm not too sure about is Shigo.
Yeah.
Which
she is strong.
Kim has not always beaten Shigo, but definitely kept up pace. Which I guess I could see Mike doing as well.
Yeah, possibly. I like how very steadily established the fact that Mike is the competent one of the 3. So it's like a lot of these stronger villains, a lot of these stronger people that you've got on this list, it would probably just be Mike trying to take them out and the other 2 figuring whatever the hell out.
It's Mike and numbers.
Yeah. I think the Super Ninjas can probably eke it out just a little bit. If it was Kim versus Mike and then Amanda and Owen versus Ron Stoppable.
The thing is, it would quickly become a 3v1. It was. I love how you did like the beating action as if like the audience can see.
Oh yeah, I forget audio medium. Yeah, I imagine Amanda and Owen would just beat Ron Stoppable with sticks until he said mercy and then ran away, and then they would probably beat the Weasel too, which I wouldn't want to see, but I'd imagine it would happen.
Assuming they had a thermos, the Box Ghost.
Ooh.
It's giving kind of Toilinator vibes.
It is very similar to Toilinator, actually, but...
Like, especially adult Box Ghost, I think adult Box easily wins.
Yeah, very, very easily. But if it's like young Box Ghost, like, steady medium, I feel like... Loki, he's a ghost.
That's the thing that makes it interesting. If he was a normal person, body slam. Just even at his strongest, just bodied. But the fact that he's intangible and you only have one weapon that can actually like compete with him, assuming you can get that in, you're fine. Otherwise, they are bodied.
Yeah. Any iteration of him, I feel like he'll find a way. I like Box Ghost.
I wish I could do a Box Ghost impression. I feel like that'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna learn how to do it and put it on my resume. They're gonna ask me to do it in the audition room.
All right. Last but not least, do you think there is any of the experiments from Lilo and Stitch in which the Supah Ninjas would win? I don't know how well you know the experiments.
Not very well. I do know that Stitch was one of them.
Yeah,
and I think they could. Stitch is actually strong as hell.
There's no way they're being Stitch.
Now I'm remembering how
held
strong.
Up like Ferris wheels. I'm pretty sure. Like with one hand.
That is so funny. Yeah, they're not beating Stitch. There's the big guy, right?
there's I think his name is, no, not Yondu. That's Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh,
They're beating the hell out of Yondu though.
yeah. Well, if he has the whistle, they're dead.
No arrow.
No
Just
arrow.
no
Yes.
no arrow. Just hands. They're beating the hell out of Yondu.
Oh, now I can't remember the guy in Lilo and Stitch.
I remember vaguely all of the aliens. There was the one that kind of looked like a spoon. I feel like they could probably beat him. There was the one with the really, really wide face. I feel like he would probably beat them. He looks large.
Oh, Jumba.
Yeah.
Mm. The only other well, there are a lot of experiments. A lot of them are just tool, but like now in the shape of a monster.
Mm.
I think the only one that would probably come into question is if you remember the little sidekick of the villain who just only made sandwiches.
Oh yeah, was that the one? Wasn't there like a Flash game made after him? Or,
yeah, where you stack the sandwich, you have to catch the
yeah,
sandwich.
yeah.
Great game. Which in one episode they say that he basically has the same powers as Stitch. He just doesn't feel like using them.
Ugh, that's a cop out. Not
It is.
Supah Ninjas are beating them with sticks.
I think any of the other experiments though, they probably get bodied by.
Yeah, most of the other ones, but like the unsuspecting ones, and the ones who for some reason don't want to use their power. No, they're just gonna very quick.
And I think that brings us to the end of our game, and we are getting close to the hour mark. So if there's any last minute things you want to add about the show or anything.
We never actually went in depth about Connor. The best form of foreshadowing in
yes.
It was insanely good foreshadowing. The best thing, it's something that I didn't notice when I was a kid, but it's something I noticed in this recent rewatch. The episode with DJ Elephant Head, the one with Ryan Higa, which also another one of my favorite episodes because Ryan Higa was low-key terrible in it. He was an awful actor. But Owen's in a dream. Apparently the first dream he's ever had in his entire life. Mm-hmm. Not going to go too far into that. But in the dream, he's trying to like basically figure out what's going on and wake himself up. And eventually... eventually in the dream, he's in like the hallway of the high school. And he sees Connor. And Connor is trying to distract him. He goes, "This is your dream, man. Here are 4 beautiful women. Come covet these women." And Owen's like, "Oh, don't mind if I do." You know? Very, very funny. But I was like, why is subconsciously Connor is in that dream trying to distract him from doing the thing that Owen needs to do?
Right.
So that's obviously like, of course, me knowing who Connor is going through, but that's like a really interesting.
I didn't remember until the moment before it's basically revealed they're selling up with him, where it's just like, "Oh yeah, I just gotta check with my mom if you guys can come in." Oh no, she said that you guys can't come in, and then you reveals that it's just like it's an empty apartment. I remember that moments before they showed the apartment. I was just like, "Oh yeah, this is the twist." Which, considering having me rewatching the show and I didn't pick up on it, pretty good twist. The other thing that foreshadows Connor before then is the first episodes he's in. He's staying in Mike's room, so they're like, "How do we get rid of him?" They ditch him, whatever. And when they come back out of the bed, they see Connor staring at them.
Yeah, which was that moment right then was so tense when I rewatched. Yeah. And it was tense for me as a kid too. That moment was really, really well done, especially the fact that it had no bearing. He actually, like, you could say, I was thinking, oh, maybe he did actually see them and he was just pretending to, like, be asleep after. No, he actually was just sleeping with his eyes open. And the fact that he was sleeping with his eyes open is very, very ninja-like behavior, even though obviously none of the other ninjas do. But yeah, that's, oh, God, I didn't even think about the eyes open thing, but that's actually, yeah, oh, God, he is probably...
Because immediately I was just like, who has their eyes open? The only time I've seen that is in Shark Boy and Lava Girl with that kid.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I feel like that's a really hard thing to do, but I guess they just wanted to make it a tense episode, like a tense moment for the episode, which it was.
It was really, really tense.
Which is the best way to get a twist across is for you to write off clear foreshadowing.
Yeah. And they did a really, really good job with Connor. having him be not the head of the Ishina, but having him being like basically a general of the Ishina, which I think they go way more into all of that in action in season 2. I'm starting to like get glimpses of a memory of how they actually go into all of that stuff, which goes into like how the show ends, which didn't like because they canceled it, so they didn't actually have an ending. So they just end with the main character getting unceremoniously kidnapped in his school. We never see any of it again.
Yeah.
But hey, Ryan Potter's he's Beast Boy now.
He's Beast Boy now. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
All right, I think that brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you again for joining us.
No problem. Anytime. Sick.
And if you like the sound of that smooth voice, go follow Katema Productions.
Yeah, Katema_Productions on Instagram. We've got a bunch of cool stuff going on. We're a theater organization. We make good stuff. So yeah, come check us out. Yippee.
Yeah. All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.